That is actor Orlando Jones, and instead of a bucket of ice water, he's pouring bullets over his head. Orlando Jones joins us now from Los Angeles. I watched the entire thing. It really is inspiring. What made you decide to do this, to record this and say, look, I want to make a change? And I'm not pointing fingers, I'm looking at myself, you say.
Well, definitely. I think I'm challenging myself. What made me want to do it is when you look at the events in this city and around this country and really around the world, it gives you definitely a sense of hopelessness. And what ALS did successfully in co-opting that challenge was raise awareness around Lou Gehrig's disease. I certainly wanted to support that, as that is an incredibly worthy disease. But at the same time, I definitely wanted to try and use my voice to draw attention and be less apathetic about some of the other things that are happening in this country and around the world.
What was going through your mind when you turned on the TV or wherever you were watching it and saw Ferguson and saw really SWAT teams? It really did look like a war zone, as you mentioned.
It's it's sad, really, to see that, because you see people who are so passionate and have so much anger, and also feel like their voice is not being heard and their rights are not being taken seriously. So for me, it was a very sad sight. What
specifically do you think needs to happen to make that change? Is it the guns? Is it the misunderstanding? Is it the abuse of power in any way?
Well, I would say that there are, people who are far smarter than me that have written books and have often tried to discuss these things and solve these problems. So I'm not providing a solution. I just wanted to sort of look at myself and say, when this has happened in other parts of the world and people who didn't look like me have had their rights taken from them, I sat on the sidelines in those circumstances, and I did not use my voice to say, I'm no longer going to be apathetic. In this case, I wanted to do that, and I think it's important because there are things that we can do. I mean, obviously voting at the ballot box is one thing you can do to affect change. So this is a curable disease, unlike, obviously, Lou Gehrig's disease.
What sort of response have you gotten from friends and strangers alike? What have they said?
Well, my favorite response is a gentleman who picked up a bucket and dumped a bunch of voter registration ballots on his head.
Wow.
And then made a very impassioned case for that being a huge part of how you can affect change in this country. For me, that was extremely powerful, and really, if he was the only person who decided that that was a way he could do something, that was a way he could use his voice, then that was really a win for me. So I'm really glad that other people have responded to it, but it's really about curing the disease of apathy. You know, shooting unarmed black men, shooting any person, taking away that person's human rights, challenging someone's ability to peacefully assemble. I mean, those are things that really should not be called into question in this country or anywhere in the world.
Yeah, if the prosecutor on the case, if you don't like him, he's been elected, I believe, 4 times. So you're right, it starts at the ballot. Were you concerned at all about the NRA? Because your focus, you weren't just saying, look, take away the guns and that'll solve everything.
Well, if there was a way to push a magic button and all the guns in the world would disappear, that would be a wonderful solution. But that's, unfortunately, we don't have that. But I think more importantly, you have to stop pointing the finger, and we have to start looking at, all police are not bad because this happened. All black people are not criminals. All white people are not oppressors. So for me, being a member of the NRA is really akin to becoming part of an organization, because in order to affect change in an organization, you must join them. You must become a part of that conversation. And on a personal note, I've had a cross burned in my front yard before when I was 6 years old. Wow. We came out to that. It was a very frightening thing to see. My father had a gun to protect his family. He wasn't a thug, he wasn't a criminal, and he wasn't looking to shoot the neighbors. But he was certainly frightened for us when that happened. So it's more complicated than we often make it, and I really didn't want to point the finger at law enforcement. I really wanted to point the finger at myself and say, when this happened before, where were you? When people who didn't look like you were having their human rights taken away from them, why did you not have a voice then? And I wanted to have one now, and I wanted to call myself out on it.
And you certainly do. It's been a pleasure. Orlando Jones, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.